It's the final show of the season for Mobil 1 The Grid, and we get underway with the F1 World Champion and his all-conquering RB19.
After Max Verstappen's record-breaking 2022 campaign and a dominating Constructors' title victory, the RB19 had a tough act to follow this year, but the world champion hoped it would carry him and Oracle Red Bull Racing to even greater success.
My first impression with the RB19 was very good. Of course, we already had last year's car, which felt very nice at the end of the year. I jumped in the car and it all felt very nice, but I've had previous years where I thought, yeah, this feels pretty good, but then we were too slow. You know, it was still not there. That's why I'm always a little bit careful in winter testing, where it can all feel amazing, but you don't know what the competition has done. But my first impressions were good. Everything was working really nicely.
The RB19's lighter chassis and improved aerodynamics resulted in impressive tyre performance, and it carried the three-time champion to 12 pole positions, 9 fastest laps, and an incredible 19 victories.
The feeling in the RB19 from day one to now has been pretty similar in terms of handling, but it's just become quicker. A bit more grip here and there, but the balance of the car has been fairly similar, which I think is a nice thing. It's all about just steady progress. We knew from last year the car was a bit heavy, so that was the first thing that we had to tackle, and that's what we did as a team. And from there onwards, I think once you hit the ground running really well and you know in what direction you have to develop, that helps a lot, and I think that's what we have been doing the last 2 years.
Adrian Newey's design proved almost unbeatable. With Sergio Perez adding 2 victories, the RB19 would win 21 of its 22 races, netting a record-breaking 860 Constructors' points.
It probably is my favorite RB just because of the amount of wins and the dominance in general of the car. I've driven a lot of nice Red Bull cars, even from 2016 to 18, 19, 20. They've all been really amazing cars to drive. Some were a bit more narrow, of course, with the different regulations, but it's definitely a great car right now. It also looks very different to how it looked like a few years ago, so they're always a bit hard to compare, but I mean, if you purely look against everyone else, it's definitely a very good car. We all know that, you know, a team in general with a strong car is the biggest differentiator, but I think the exciting bit is where then you can combine the driver with the car to see how high you can reach.
While Verstappen's 19 victories easily eclipsed Alberto Ascari's 75% win record set in 1952, the RB19's 95% ratio surpassed some of the greatest cars in F1 history and may never be beaten.
I hope that the RB19 will be remembered as a record breaker. I mean, it has done. I remember, of course, watching all the footage back in the day, in the late 80s, in the 90s, early 2000s. When you get older, especially, you start looking into also what they have achieved in a season. And you're like, my God, that's very, very impressive. And now that we are here and we've done even better than that, it's something, of course, we are very proud of.
It's time now to head on to the grid.
Away from Formula One, a number of other series wrapped up in November, including the World Endurance Championship. Toyota had already secured the manufacturer's title, and the driver's silverware was effectively settled at the very start of the Bahrain 8 hours. Cadillac's Earl Bamber hit the number 7 Toyota, forcing them into the pits for repairs. Eventually, they recovered to second, but the race win and the title went to their teammates.
Victory in Bahrain for Toyota number 8, Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley and Rio Hirakawa.
Former Formula One driver Robert Kubica and WRT teammates Rui Andrade and Louis Delatraz took the last LMP2 title with victory. And the Iron Dames made history, becoming the first female crew to win in the WEC. Michelle Gatting, Rahel Frey and Sarah Borvey secured second in the title race behind Corvette Racing. It was the final WEC appearance for both the Corvette C8R and the Porsche 911 RSR. The WEC moves to GT3 machinery in 2024. The NASCAR finale was in Phoenix, Arizona, and the prelude to the Cup Series showdown was the Xfinity race. It was Stuart Haas Racing's Cole Custer who battled to the front and held on for his 3rd win of the season and his maiden Xfinity Series title.
Custer, proving he deserves to be a part of NASCAR's elite. Today, Cole Custer is an Xfinity Series champion.
Hell yeah, guys! That's awesome!
The next day, it was the turn of the Cup Series drivers. This time, it was a non-championship driver, Ross Chastain, who won the race in the desert. But Ryan Blaney, who finished right behind him, took the 2023 NASCAR title. The World Rally Championship finished in Japan. There was early trouble for Hyundai's Danny Sordor, who crashed on stage 2 in the wet conditions. He joined Adrien Fourmore, who'd ditched his M Sport Ford at exactly the same spot. Stage 6, and Hyundai's leading driver Thierry Neuville crashed out of the rally. This left Toyota's Elfyn Evans in charge. The Welshman never gave up his lead, and he and co-driver Scott Martin led home at Toyota 1-2-3, ahead of 8-time champion Sebastian Ogier. And this season's title winner, now double champion, Kalle Rovanpera. Having already wrapped up all of the silverware this season, it was the perfect finish for the Japanese mark on home soil.
Next up, we join a NASCAR champion retiring from the sport with an enviable track record. After 23 years at the sharp end of NASCAR, Kevin Harvick has called time on a Cup Series career that began with the pressure of replacing a legend in 2001.
I think as you look at the first win with Dale Earnhardt Sr. passing away and having to take over the car and winning in the third race, there were just a lot of things that really shaped the direction of your career that weren't planned, but also molded you into having to deal with some bigger situations than you'd ever have to deal with again. For me, the first win was really hard to achieve anything greater than that, but we were fortunate to be successful at a lot of different racetracks and winning the Daytona 500 and understanding what winning our sport's biggest race was really all about and the things that came with that. And the other one that sticks out is the 2003 Brickyard 400. I grew up an open wheel fan and a huge Rick Mears fan and always wanted to win an Indy 500, but the Brickyard 400 was pretty darn close and at the same racetrack, and so for me that was a pretty special one to win.
More than a decade at RCR yielded 23 victories before a move to Stewart Haas Racing in 2014. The new number 4 team had an immediate impact.
To change teams and step outside of that box, there's a lot of pressure on you to succeed at whatever you do next. We succeeded, I think, 2 or 3 weeks into the season by winning our first race in 2014 at Phoenix. And for us as a team, that was kind of like okay, we can do this. I don't know that any of us thought that it would wind up in a championship year, but I think as we were able to reflect on winning the last 2 races and winning the championship, we knew that we had a special group of people that could be competitive and win races for years to come.
Over the past decade, the Californian and crew chief Rodney Childers led the 4 team to 37 victories, taking his career total to 60, and built a culture of 100% commitment.
In the beginning, it was really about courting Rodney. I wanted things to go a certain way, and I wanted things to go a certain way, so we had to find this middle road path of how we were going to coexist. We learned that we were very similar in age. We had a very similar background. We raced against each other and didn't know we raced against each other in some of the series that we came up together in. We had a spotter that I raced against that had raced for a long time. And we had a group of guys that everybody on our team came to Stewart Haas Racing because they wanted to work on the 4 car. In order to race at a championship level week in and week out, it takes a full commitment from every person on the team. People are what makes the world go around, and if you want to be good at something, you better have a good group of people around you, because in our world, you can't drive a slow car fast, and I've been fortunate to drive a lot of fast race cars.
He's been nicknamed Happy Harvick and the closer in his career, but there's another reason for his success in over 300,000 miles of racing.
One thing that has kind of been bred from the beginning is the consistency. Consistency in our sport is something that is very important, and being able to work on the car when you get it home and not have it destroyed, and being able to take a 15th or 20th place car and finish top 10 or top 5 with it, and taking that top 5 car and having a chance to win with it. Those are traits that as a race driver you need to have, and I've been fortunate to have learned that at a young age because we couldn't afford to fix our cars. And you had to figure out how to finish up front, or you didn't make enough prize money to make it back to the gate the next weekend, and you didn't need to tear up a bunch of race cars, but you never quit and you always finished races, and that has carried throughout my career.
Just shy of his 48th birthday, fittingly, his final race came at Phoenix, his home track, where he holds the record with 9 Cup Series victories. It was his 1,299th start across NASCAR's top 3 series, another record. So how would he like to be remembered?
If I'm remembered, that's good enough for me. Yeah, I think as you go through your career, you want to be able to do enough things where people will remember your name and pull your videos up and look at the records and just have some impact scattered over the record books in sport. It's important to have the respect of your peers and them knowing that you were competitive and fierce and also fair and had a firm understanding of the sport and the history of the sport and respecting the things that come with NASCAR racing.
We revisit the IMSA season finale now and an emotional weekend for Corvette Racing.
After a 25-year run, Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta marked the final outing for the full works Corvette Racing squad on US soil and the last North American appearance for their mid-engine C8R.
Heading into the season finale here with the C8R, hoping for a good send-off. It's been a tough battle all season, second in the championship, but leading the Endurance Cup, so hopefully we can keep the car clean and the drivers will be in a position to fight for the win in the race.
The Road Atlanta Classic also marked the end of an era for Jordan Taylor. 12 years with the team had brought countless victories, a Le Mans success, and 2 IMSA titles alongside Antonio Garcia.
It's going to be my last event here with Corvette Racing. It's been a long journey. I joined the team as third driver back in 2012, so I was 20 years old back then, didn't know what I was doing, but yeah, these guys took me under their wing and taught me pretty much everything I know.
We had a lot of fun together. I mean, he's been in my car for many years, first as a third guy and then driving with him since 2020, and we won many good races together, 2 championships. I won't say it's the last race we do together because who knows, let's see what the future brings.
The future sees the 32-year-old move to Father Wayne Taylor's team in the GTP category next season, and the Corvette squad were hoping to sign him off with a special victory.
When I joined in 2012, we finished second here at Petit with Antonio and Yan. And it was like, all right, well, it's going to happen one of these years, surely. And here we are, 12 years later, still trying to win this race.
The whole team is hugely motivated to be successful at this race. Between Jordan, it's his last race with us for the present, and he wants to go out with a win, right? Antonio, it would be a huge deal for him to get a win here as well.
I've been coming for this race for a long time. I never won this race. The good point is I won 4 or 5 championships at this event, which is probably better than the race. Everybody knows that this is the only one I'm missing. So I'm sure Jordan, Tommy and I will put a lot of effort to win it.
The team couldn't win the title this year, but with a class victory, they'd win the trophy for most points in IMSA's 4 endurance races.
The Endurance Cup is very close. It's only, I think, 2 points or 3 points to the Mercedes and then 2 points back to the Lexus. So we will certainly take that into consideration throughout the race.
Corvette were dominating the GTD Pro field, but the elusive Petit Le Mans victory wasn't to be. A technical failure in the 6th hour cruelly snatched victory away.
Well, I've only cried once since the race ended, so yeah, it's sad, bittersweet way to end it. But yeah, we went out leading, which was a positive, but it's too bad the fans didn't get to see us finish one last race with the C8R. It's been an amazing run with this car. 2 GTLM championships, a Le Mans win, Daytona, Sebring. We were just missing this Petit Le Mans, so amazing run for this generation of Corvette, but hopefully the next one can get this one checked off the box.
Next up, the back-to-back World Rally champions relived their first win.
From NASCAR to Formula One, from IndyCar to sports car racing, this season we're finding out how important a breakthrough victory can be. Today, it's the turn of Kalle Rovanpera and his co-driver Versta Halttunen, whose rise to the top step of the WRC podium came at Rally Estonia in 2021.
It was definitely a tricky beginning of the year, let's say. We had a few bad rallies in a row, technical issues, and then some crashes of my own and issues. So it was not so easy feeling having a series of difficult rallies behind, but just meant that we wanted to do a good result in Estonia.
We just retired in Kenya. We were basically fighting for the win there, and we were just trying to get the first win. And then when you get the first win, everything not easy, but you have done it and you know how to do it. So I remember when we retired in Kenya, I was actually in tears because I was so down from it. So the hopes were high coming in Estonia, and we knew that we had a chance to do it.
On an attritional opening day, the Finnish duo pieced together 6 stage wins to edge into the lead, but it was on Saturday morning, on the longest stage of the rally, Piazziare, that Rovanpera put the hammer down.
Saturday morning was of course really exciting. We had a completely new stage. Nobody knew the stage, so it was really technical, narrow, but still quite fast. And yeah, I was prepared to really push hard on there and had a really good stage. So it was nice to see the times of the others and then finally kill the competition a bit to start to build the gap from there.
From Kalle, you actually always don't know what he's gonna do. But you see when he's super focused, he's in own zone. Then you see that he's going to do something. You never know what's going to happen, but most likely it's going to be full send, what we call when he goes into this mode that he will just push. And for sure, in Saturday morning, he had that mode, and I know that he's really hard to guy to beat when he has that kind of mentality, and it was nice.
I started to think that now we have a good shot at trying to win the event, but I also remember that when the other rallies before were so bad that I didn't really expect much. I was sure something is going to happen anyway, but yeah, we kept our cool until the end.
Their bad luck was behind them. 20-year-old Rovanpera had grown up driving on similar roads in Estonia and Latvia and couldn't be matched by the more experienced campaigners. On the Sunday morning, they closed in on their maiden win.
When it happened, the feeling is just so overwhelming. You are just full of emotions, and if you have a lifelong dream and it happens, it's a big emotion. Kalle was, I think, living at that time in Estonia, so it was also nice for him.
I remember feeling that it was a bit too late for it. There was few events before where I wanted to get the win already, but definitely it was a good feeling to finally have it at that point.
Kalle's mum and dad were on hand to witness their son become the youngest ever World Rally winner. A year later, he'd be the youngest ever champion. But it all started in Estonia.
I think it was quite important to have the result at that point, and it got a bit better, definitely a bit more comfortable and confident. We also got the second win that year in Greece, and I think from there we just picked on a bit the pace and the experience.
The talent of winning is quite a lot of controlling your emotions. So for us, maybe this was kind of a lesson. After that, the victories just started piling up, and for sure it's now a lot easier. It's never easy, but it's a lot easier than at that point. And if you have done something once already, the next time you basically know a bit better what to expect.
To end the show, we take a look at the places and races we visited on our global tour in 2023. It's been an epic year for motorsport across the continent on two wheels and four. Back in January, a new era of endurance racing got underway with the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
It's year one of GTP and the 963 and the class in general. Anyone that's a fan of the sport, we want to see great racing.
As the sports cars battled, a NASCAR veteran was hard at work in the Ford simulator. Like his teammate Kevin Harvick, Aric Almirola was heading into his final season.
The simulator is as close to reality as you can possibly get. But there's nothing like real life, right? Because there's no consequences.
At their first road race of the season, the NASCAR field were joined by a former F1 champion.
The racing is just nuts. I saw Bubba earlier on. He's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I really don't know.
The World Endurance Championship kicked off their season at Sebring, where Toyota were expected to dominate the hypercar field.
Our motivation's incredibly high to defend both Le Mans and the World Championship. I think it means everything to try and do that.
They duly completed a 1-2 while Corvette scored a sensational victory in GTE. The next day, however, their luck ran out in IMSA's 12-hour race.
The overall leaders have come together, and that's the Corvette they've hit as well. Oh my goodness! Their Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring is over.
Moonshine Country in North Carolina was back on the NASCAR calendar as the sport returned to its liquor-running roots for the All-Star race.
As one of the birthplaces of NASCAR in 1947, and these cars around us helped that happen. The people on Saturday night would come out and see who had the fastest moonshine car. And in the first race, I think 10,000 people showed up.
As NASCAR celebrated their 75th anniversary, so did Porsche, running a trio of 963 hypercars in special livery at the Centenary Le Mans.
Porsche wouldn't be here without what they've achieved at Le Mans. Porsche and Le Mans, it's just like coffee and milk.
An epic race didn't fall kindly for Porsche as Ferrari triumphed in a bumper field of 16 hypercars. In GTE, there was an emotional win for Corvette in their last entry with the C8R.
We just won the centenary race for Le Mans, 25th anniversary for Corvette Racing. It gets no better.
June was also a busy month for two wheels as we visited the Cathedral of Speed, Assen in Holland, to ride with the Red Bull KTM MotoGP team.
Feels like it's trying to kill you, but once you understand, the bike almost feels like an extension of your body, and it just fills you with so much joy.
In Finland, World Rally champions Toyota were going full pelt at the fastest event on the calendar.
Quite amazing feeling always to come out home rally. It's actually the hometown for both of us, so the atmosphere is always great, and of course the Finnish fans are amazing also.
An errant rock spelt the end for champion-elect Kalle Rovanpera in his home event, but teammate Elfyn Evans made sure of a Toyota victory as the squad marched towards another world title. Also marching towards a third consecutive championship was Max Verstappen.
This season, has been pretty incredible for the whole team. I think it's really about just trying to enjoy the moment, because you know that these seasons, they don't come along very often.
Finally, Petit Le Mans closed the IMSA season at Road Atlanta, with Porsche bringing the Stardust with Jenson Button and Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden on board. But it was Cadillac and their Whelen Engineering squad who won the GTP Championship, an epic end to a breathless year of motorsport.
What a crazy race, what a crazy year, to be honest. We had it go away from us, but we stayed calm, got back in the race, and we brought it home. Amazing.
That's it for 2023. We'll leave you with the stars of the show.
We definitely didn't expect this kind of success this year.
I tried to give my best, but at the same time enjoyed the moment.
We had a special group of people, and it's been a special time.